When we think of revolutionaries, we often picture battles and uprisings. But Martin Luther King Jr., the leader of the American Civil Rights Movement, showed the world that profound change could also come from peaceful protest. Born in 1929 in Atlanta, Georgia, King's life was dedicated to the fight for racial equality, justice, and the idea that love and nonviolence could overcome even the deepest divisions. Who was Martin Luther King Jr.? Martin Luther King Jr. was born into a deeply segregated America. Growing up in the Jim Crow South, he experienced racism from a young age, witnessing the systemic inequalities that kept Black Americans oppressed. Yet, he also grew up in a family that valued education, faith, and community. His father, a Baptist preacher, instilled in him a belief in justice and the power of the church to inspire change. King's intellectual and spiritual journey took him to Morehouse College, Crozer Theological Seminary, and Boston University, where he earned his doctorate in theology. It was during these years that he encountered the teachings of Mahatma Gandhi, whose philosophy of nonviolence would profoundly shape his own approach to activism. What sparked King's involvement in the civil rights movement? The turning point came in 1955 with the Montgomery bus boycott. After Rosa Parks was arrested for refusing to give up her seat to a white passenger, the Black community in Montgomery, Alabama, organized a year-long boycott of the city's buses. King, then a young preacher, was chosen to lead the effort. His speeches inspired thousands to join the cause, even as participants faced threats, violence, and arrests. The boycott's success marked the beginning of King's rise as a national leader. What made King's approach unique? King believed in the power of nonviolent resistance, a strategy rooted in moral conviction. He often said, "Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that." This philosophy guided his leadership, whether organizing sit-ins, marches, or boycotts. King's vision was not just about ending segregation. It was about creating a society where all people could live with dignity, respect, and opportunity. The March on Washington and "I Have a Dream" speech. One of the most iconic moments of King's career came on August 28, 1963, during the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom. Standing before a crowd of over 250,000 people at the Lincoln Memorial, King delivered his famous "I Have a Dream" speech. His words, a call for racial harmony and justice, resonated deeply. "I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin but by the content of their character." The speech became a defining moment in the civil rights movement, capturing the hope and determination of a generation. It also helped galvanize support for landmark legislation, including the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. What challenges did King face? King's journey was far from easy. He faced constant threats to his life and was arrested multiple times. His leadership was also criticized, both by those who thought he was too radical and by younger activists who believed his methods were too slow. Despite these challenges, King remained steadfast, driven by a deep sense of purpose and faith. The fight for economic justice. In his later years, King broadened his focus to include economic inequality, which he saw as deeply intertwined with racial injustice. He organized the Poor People's Campaign, advocating for fair wages, affordable housing, and economic opportunities for all Americans. His message became increasingly bold, criticizing the U.S. government's role in perpetuating poverty and inequality. How did King's life end? On April 4, 1968, King was assassinated in Memphis, Tennessee, where he had gone to support striking sanitation workers. His death was a devastating blow to the civil rights movement and the nation as a whole. Yet, even in death, King's legacy endured. His words, actions, and vision continue to inspire movements for justice and equality around the world. Why does Martin Luther King Jr. matter today? King's impact extends far beyond his lifetime. His belief in nonviolence as a tool for change has influenced countless leaders and movements, from Nelson Mandela in South Africa to contemporary activists fighting for racial justice and human rights. His dream of equality remains unfinished, serving as both a reminder of how far we've come and how much further we have to go. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, "The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice." His life proves that even in the face of hatred and oppression, one voice can ignite a movement, change a nation, and inspire the world.